Captain. I can hear you. Aye, aye, Captain. Oh, by the way, I'm drinking Almax. It's this. It's Almax Hexapro or Hexapro by Almax. It's like six different kinds of protein. It's like a chocolate flavored shake. Because I'm back in the gym, trying to get back in shape. Because I'm out of shape.
You,
I put on 80 pounds since you last saw me.
yeah, okay. You better double your condom if you're going to smash because you're putting too much protein in it. You're gonna shoot out triplets, but way too much protein.
I almost fucking choked on my drink, you fucking bastard. I was sitting here, just took a sip, and then you're like, you're gonna shoot out
That sounded
triplets.
crazy. You're like I'm on like eight different proteins, and I'm like, yo, he's gonna shoot up the club if he gets with a girl tonight.
No,
Be
listen,
careful.
listen though, like this stuff is really good. And yeah, it has it's not like I'm on six different proteins. There's six different proteins in this drink, but it's really good because I just felt it the other day. Like I drank one the next day without even drinking an energy drink or nothing. I just had so much energy, like throughout the whole day. Like it
But
lasted,
you,
it held, it sustained the whole day until I went to bed finally, and I was so impressed with it. And it's still that
you
way
were
today. There's just never a day where I felt groggy or tired. Like the pro, because that was the part. That's part of the drink. What it's supposed to do is give you like slow burning energy, throughout the day. And I
right.
just think it's awesome.
So that company, like you just gave them a major endorsement. We got to get these numbers up so we can pick those phones up and say,
Hey,
hey,
Almax, I like your drink,
yeah.
but I want paid to tell people it's good.
Right. We just gave them a look.
Yeah,
And I think I've seen that before. It's somewhere. You can buy it at like Sheets or something.
you might be, or maybe you're thinking of Cliff Protein because I eat the Cliff Protein bars, the
Where
peanut
did you
butter
get that
chocolate.
at?
I got it at Redline. Look, I can't start revealing stuff. I'm gonna start making people. I'm gonna be giving too many shout
Oh, you went
outs.
to Red Line.
Yeah, but you can't.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, that's I can't reveal my sources. People be like, "Oh, he shops there." Well, I'm gonna shop there. It's like, well, I'm not getting paid for that promotion.
Right. Yeah.
So,
We
but
want
yeah,
those promotions.
but yeah, I did go to Redline Nutrition. It's a small shop. The other thing I wish about that place would be they had a bigger parking lot. But hey, it comes with
Yeah,
the territory.
Mariana looks fine.
Wow,
You see that?
I can. Oh yeah, she looks great, yo. I just think it's funny because you're like Rihanna looks fine. It's like, bro, this has been a fact since I was like 10.
She's got a big ass forehead though, but she's beautiful. I ain't mad at her, you know?
Big ass
So,
forehead, you could just lay a dick across. That's sick.
oh, whoa, Deb, what's going on? What's going on with you, bro? Yeah, she's a part. I guess she's leasing some product. People don't know. Speaking of Rihanna, Rihanna doesn't get her credit. Well, obviously, I think it's Jay that is guiding her, but she owns her own record label. She owns all of her masters.
Hmm.
They, she's not an artist. She's a business,
A
and
business.
yeah, she owns what she does. She's not told to do. So I respect that. That's like the and going on a more somber note, you know that's like the person who passed last night, Nipsey. He was independent too. He fought for that all year, and that's something we gonna touch in before we get into all the jokes and cracking up, because I think he deserves his respects. He's one of the few people in that music business, in the rap game, that I actually respect, and that he's respected by all the people that get respect in that game because of what he does, who he represents, not being a part of the bullshit, um, doing things that superseded, like he put out an album like what was it, like 5 years ago, and he sold the album for $100,
A hundred
and he and
dollars?
his yeah $100.
No.
It was a mixtape. His plan was, he thought like, okay, I got all these followers and these friends in my community. If I can get 10,000 people to buy this thing, I came up. So his ultimate nod to that thing was Jay-Z picked up the phone and called and bought 100, which gave him, 10,000 for R.I.P to
Uh,
start with. So he was just finding creative ways to do that. And for those who don't know, Nipsey Hussle was shot outside of the store in Crenshaw, California, Los Angeles last night. It's a neighborhood that he grew up in. And it's just a sad day. Sad day for, I think, everybody that respects real people. They know who he is. I think everybody's probably a little down on this one.
yeah. Well, like I said, I didn't know anything about Nipsey Hussle, so I was hoping that this would be one of those bridging the gap things where you'd be able to tell me about Nipsey Hussle because like I woke up this morning and he died, and I hear people saying "Rip Nip," and well, it wasn't today, wasn't it? It was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday during the game is when I seen it when it first came out. Like
Yeah.
during the Duke game, the Elite Eight
Uh huh.
game.
Yeah, yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said, Nipsey. So, during it was like during an Elite Eight game, like during the game, he just got shot.
Yeah. I caught it it was in the fourth quarter around the ending time when it happened. So whatever Los Angeles time that is. I think it
Mm-hmm.
was around 8:30. No, 7:30 our time. So it was probably like 4 or 5 in the afternoon up there.
Mm-hmm. And so to you, like Nipsey's a big influencer, big inspiration. Uh, you know, a good all. I mean, like from what I've seen, he's one of those, like I said, people in the community that's he's kind of like an entrepreneur, but he was just doing creative ways in the business and the rap game and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, he was. Well, there's a lot of things that misconception about like he's gang affiliated. He grew up in California. He came from gangs, but since day one, when you I first heard of Nipsey, he's always been saying the same thing, and he's been putting his actions behind it. That's how you decide who's real and who's not when somebody's talking. You could tell it wasn't about music and being popular to him. It was about music for his love for it. He just wanted to be heard and get it out and spread. But he wasn't going to do all that smoke and mirrors fake shit for it. He was just going to be who he was. But he was always pushing help out the community, help out my people get to a better place. The people that I grew up in, my circles that are struggling, help with gang violence. He was just scheduled today to have a meeting with the Los Angeles Police Department, a bunch of gang leaders, and Rock Nation, and they were going to sit down and try to figure out a better way to attack gang violence and try to get people on a more peaceful. I mean, that's just what he was all about. His where he got killed at is in his neighborhood. He's the person. He's a person. He's made the money where he can move out and just forget that part of his life. But he bought the strip mall where he used to sell drugs at. Well, it used to be ran down, created businesses in there, created jobs, and he was always there. That was his home base. That's where his studio's at. So he was in the hood when he didn't have to be trying to help people. He actually built a STEM program in this place for the kids in the neighborhood to learn about coding and science and math. He would have teachers come in from um, like uh, colleges and get favors like that to come in and teach kids how to use equipment, how science works, how to do coding and stuff like that. He was planning on doing that, like making a program for that, try to get a lot of the trouble areas like Chicago, work with like Chicago rappers or Chicago actors, entertainers, whoever, and try to put these stems into the worst places and try to help another avenue for people to get out. Good
That's
dude.
awesome. That's awesome though. Like I respect somebody like that. I mean, he's doing all this good things for his community and pushing that, and like you said, he was gang affiliated. But like I mean, how loosely do we say that the term gang is really such a bad thing? Whenever people are doing such good as what you just said, building a whole entire shopping or taking a whole shopping center strip mall and turning into basically a center, a hub for people to have businesses and invest in their local environment. And also his studio was in that same place. So I think the guy's good. He's a great guy. And so I can't believe I didn't know about this guy or mention it till he
Well,
passed
he's
away.
more of a under yeah, he's more of an underground type of person, but he's the type of person like he's like Snoop. Snoop can go anywhere in on this globe and not have a problem. He's that one of the people. Like he's done like a lot of West Coast and East Coast or down south. They don't mix their music. They try to stay, but somebody like Snoop can do it with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Nipsey was that person, but he was on the lower level. Like I said, he wasn't doing the things that all these weirdos are doing to get the attention, just to make money, just to be loved and get all the attention, the clout chasing bullshit. He was slowly grinding and independently doing.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
And
So
yeah,
he was. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say is that's why he's even again I think more of a interesting character in my opinion. The thing is I think it's cool though too like you just said that he was doing it from the independent and he didn't do any of the clout chasing, uh, the clout chasing, which is something that's such a problem with rap nowadays, especially from someone who listens to it, is it always sounds the same. Like
Right.
and it's cool to have somebody that can that can kind of join in every style, like the East and the West, and then not just the East and the West, but the lo-fi to the trap to the drill to the whatever you want to put on there.
Right. And he came, this was his year. He was winning. All that hard work was paying off because this album that he just put out, this past album,
Mm-hmm.
was nominated at the Grammys for album of the year. It was called Victory Lap. It was the most complete album I've heard of his work. I always like his work, but and it was his first official album like that he put that was able to go into. Everything else was like mixtapes and just dropping and grinding.
Mm-hmm.
This was his first release as an official album that he can enter into these things. And he was in the best album. He didn't win, but everybody that was talking about it before this incident were saying that his album should be best rap album and win that Grammy. So he was winning. He want his way up to where he was getting. He was doing it right. I think like the conversations I've had with the people, like at where he was at a point where he was trying to go, I believe where he thought he was living, that nothing like this would happen because of the blessings and all that type of stuff. And it's the truth is from what's being said out of there, like they got a suspect, they're looking for him, that it was some kind of deal that went wrong between them. No type of drugs or not, like a business deal that it did work out, and and them two got into some kind of agreement, and the dude like took it to that level for whatever reason we don't know until it comes out. But it's just one of those things that me personally, I feel like that I respect him because that's who I am. If I get in a position like that, I'm going to do the things I would do, the things that he was doing to help people get in a better situation. But my mind would think I have to make sure that I can still continue to do this. So I can't put myself in that position to be there all open like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then something allowed this to happen. I think he should have took a little more precaution, but that's just who he is. He's the type of person that just lives like that. He doesn't think he's a star. He just thinks he's a hood dude that's making some good music, and he's trying to find better ways. So it's a sad story, man. It's
Yeah.
really sad.
It's a sad story, but to me, it's a good. I mean, it's a sad ending to a story, but it's a good story. I mean, the life is the journey, so to speak. So it's not the destination. And where he ended up was that's kind of like he ended with 6 bullets in his back, but the story of what he was trying to do was a great story in my opinion for what you just told me.
And then there's the conspiracy bullshit. I think you'll find. I don't know if you heard this part of
Oh,
it.
I've seen it. Don't you worry your pretty little head.
Did
I
you
seen
just say
it.
my pretty
Your
little?
your pretty little head. I seen it. The doctor. What is it like? He's making a Doctor
Don't
Sebi
ever
document.
say that.
Don't ever say. Don't you ever call my head pretty or little ever again? I got a big
it,
ugly head. See what we call that? Don't you
it,
worry your big ugly head. Is that what you want to say?
you know me, I love a good conspiracy.
Mm.
I'm for it, but the conspiracy they're trying to say it doesn't make any fucking sense
Wasn't it a Doctor
because
Sebi
all the
film, right, or something
yeah,
like that?
he's just doing something that's already out there. He was just re-upping it. The Dr. Seppi just died within the last 2 years. He was just promoting good health and good like feeding your body well and all that. People say, well, all those holistic. And although do I believe that there is like something bad happens to the holistic healers, but I don't think it's that real. All his information is out there. He has a website that you could go order recipes and books and anything that he has done.
Mm-hmm.
He's a business. It's not like he was exposing something. So people need to chill with that and just let his family, get over it, his
I
friends, and
agree, but yeah.
let
Well,
let him.
my whenever I saw it, my first reaction when I saw it was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I said, "They're gonna like someone's really gonna kill him over. Oh no, he might have the cure." Like what Nipsey's making a movie, right? There's also the guys who made the movie about the McDonald's brothers, right?
Mhm.
Which was like a really good feature length film where it was talking about how the McDonald's brothers actually got fucked. They don't even own their own business. They let a third guy come in. The third guy took everything from them, and the McDonald's brothers never saw a dime of the McDonald's people, the McDonald's company
Yeah,
money.
I seen that.
Yeah,
Michael Keaton played in it.
yeah.
I I seen that, and that was interesting too. I watched that. That was pretty good because they wanted to keep it that way, and he pushed the um the what do they call what do we call those that we can't stand that get all the tax break? Corporation.
Mm.
He pushed it to be a corporation. They wanted it just to be the family thing, and he stole it from them, yo.
He stole it. He straight up stole it. And like
That's
those,
America.
yeah, and that's one of those things where, like looking at this, I'm like, wow, look at them exposing this. It's like you're really gonna, like, and then they've exposed like what they made a movie about the Catholic Church, right, with Will Smith in it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody killed Will Smith. Do you
What
know what?
what are you talking about? What movie was that?
There was that movie about the, or maybe it wasn't Will Smith. Maybe I'm thinking of a woman actor. I forget now. But they made a movie about the Catholic Church. It was I think some of it was even in Pennsylvania. Some of it was stated in Pennsylvania. It was like I forget how many years ago they made a movie about the
I know
Catholic
which
Church.
one you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the same thing, but no one got killed over that movie. I'm like the people expose conspiracies all the times in movies, man, like all the time. So like whenever I hear that Nipsey Hussle's getting killed over a Dr. Sebi film, like that to me is like I don't know, it's almost like spit on the face, man. It's like no, like there's no
It's
way.
it's
They just
just
want
one of
something
those.
else. I get it. People just want it to be. I think people just want it to be something else. They just want more to be there. Like who would kill Nipsey, and then they want to be like something bigger,
Than what it
than it
really
really
is. We
is.
gotta wait for the facts, but from what I'm hearing from credible people is that he's just was something went wrong, which happens in the neighborhoods all the time, and these type things happen. They say that he knew the person, they were doing some kind of business deal, something legitimate, and it just went all wrong. However, what happened in between there to make that person do it, they did. There's no way that I mean, he's an important person to the neighborhood, but nothing he is doing is built for a Kennedy assassination. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
There's nothing there for people to do that. Like you said, people just don't want to say, hey, it is what it is. They got into a conflict, and this guy chose to take his life over that conflict. It just
Mm,
is what it is. It happens every day in the neighborhoods, in
yeah,
the hood. It happens.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that shit just happens. I think in general. I mean, people just kill people over stupid, dumb things, or
Right.
things that they no one needs to die over. It happens. happens all the
Right.
time. So it's just one of those senseless things, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
The guy was making moves. He was an influencer, like I said, and I appreciate you, Nipsey. I
So
barely knew thee, but I
yeah.
appreciate you.
Yeah, check him out, man. Check out some of his music. People that don't know him, he speaks like truth. He's like I said, only a few people in the game that are active right now. When I say game in the music industry, that
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe in any genre. That I don't believe that they're just manufactured to do that. They're puppets. They just do what they're told, and there's only a very few of them, and he was one of them. So I salute them. Prayers and everything to the family, the neighborhoods that really knew him, his kids, all that. Man, it just we got to do better than this, man. People like that over arguments should not be, taken away. They should be able to complete their legacy and pass it on to the next generation. Um, that's just how I see it. So R.I.P. Nip. That's pretty much it with.
Yeah. Well, you said about he died during the games. So speaking of the Elite Eight games, how
Mhm.
about Duke?
I knew Duke was going to get it. They damn near lost the first two games. I
Mm,
knew Michigan State was going to catch him because of what's his name, number 5, Winston,
mm,
Cassius Winston. I like him. I think he's going to train. He's going to be like Mario Chalmers from. I don't know if you're familiar with Mario Chalmers. He
no.
played for those championship games with LeBron and Dwayne Wade down in Florida.
Mm.
He reminds me of him.
So you guys were like out because I didn't get to watch all of it, but I saw the game when I was at Permane Brothers, and I was sitting there kind of like, oh my, blown away because I'm looking at Duke and the Spartans play, and I'm like, oh my, like the Spartans. I mean, for what I saw, most of the game they kept their foot above them.
Hmm. On
So
their
yeah,
necks.
yeah, like I
Like,
said,
and to me, I'm sitting here looking at the game, and to me, it seems like sometimes you got to call out the coaches just making mistakes. Coach K, every time Zion wanted to get an isolation and one on one, he owned it. So why weren't he? Why I didn't understand why he wasn't feeding him. He fed him one time that got them the lead before Michigan State did their little run and got the turnover, but he stayed away from him. He kept isolating Reddish and the other guy they got, and it wasn't working. So I didn't understand that
yeah,
at all. You
it
got the
sounds like
most dumb. Go ahead.
they sound like they were sticking to a game plan that they preconceived, and it wasn't working, and they still tried to stick with it, like, oh, it'll work eventually or something,
Yeah, or it could be anything. It could be anything because I've coached for years, bro. Sometimes I'm not proud to say it, or sometimes you got to catch yourself from not doing it. Doesn't happen often, but a player piss you off.
Mm-hmm.
He'll piss you off where you'll get stuck in your stubborn ways. And if we don't believe that happens at any level, people are crazy. That you'll stay away from something to spite that person. And we know how college players are that know they're going to the NBA next year. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
be the number one pick and make all. They're going to be the big shit at that. You know he's talking crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that simple. And I think it looked like to me, no conspiracy or nothing, but
No
just from a
conspiracy. The
coach,
word conspiracy doesn't even exist on our channel, by the way. We don't even condone the word conspiracy. What is that?
it's
Good. That's
that's how.
Mr.
When we do that,
It's
that's the definition.
that's the like whenever we're gonna say the word of that's what we say. We just make up some gibberish. That's it's no hush.
Because I don't want to be caught when we get this moving. I don't want to be the conspiracy guy. But I was watching it, looking, and I'm like, why isn't he calling this? It just looked weird to me. That's all.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
like I
he
s-
didn't go to his bread butter.
Yeah. Well, when we went out to eat, I was just sitting there, and my buddy asked me. He's like, you like basketball? I was like, yeah, I like basketball. I was like, I'm just not that into it because, like I said, really the only time I really watch when I start watching March Madness, it's usually about Final Four, and then
Mhm.
maybe I'll pay attention to an upset game, like if someone hits me up and says, bro, are you seeing so and so playing so and so right now? It's
Yeah.
crazy, and then I'll be like, okay, well I got to go see that. and then I'll go maybe watch that game. But other than that, most of the time, because last year I worked at iCore, so like whenever I was on the phones, March Madness was on every damn screen. I couldn't. I watched basketball all day long. But
Oh, work.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like I was on the phone talking with people, but you know, like I would, some of them would be
The
like,
games were.
yeah. So like, I'd be
Hey,
watching the games.
did you did you get off the line or fake like the phone hung up by accident when the game got good?
No, no, no. I would what I would do is like I'd be like, all right, resetting your box. I'm like, yeah. And instead of telling him it takes like 3 minutes, I told him, yeah, it takes like 12 minutes. And then I muted my phone and I
Oh,
started watching the game.
oh, shit.
It takes
I would have
12
did the
minutes.
same
Click.
thing, bro.
And
I would have did the same thing.
then if
Hey,
they would
there's
like say something, they would say like they'd be like, oh, it's doing something. I'd unmute my phone and say, yeah, that's cool. Then unmute my phone again. You keep watching.
and that is like I really don't watch call. I'll watch a few games. I don't watch NBA basketball. I'll watch it sometimes just to check to see who's who's hot. Do a heat check until the playoffs. And I watch college games here and there if there's two good teams playing to see, do a heat check to see how overhyped they are or how good they are. And then I just wait for the tournament because the game with Virginia and the night before with Saturday night with Virginia and I think it was Purdue. Best
Mhm.
game I've seen. I mean, in years
Really?
of basketball. Yeah, they were balling. They were balling back and forth, diving for balls. Like they knew that this was it. Either we win or we're going home.
Yeah.
So,
My
you know,
buddy
and
says he's a big fan of Purdue, and you know, I saw Purdue play Penn State. It was like a long time ago. I was dating a girl. I think it was her dad got tickets, or her neighbors gave her tickets. So me, her, and her dad went to go watch Penn State football play Purdue, and at Beaver Stadium, and it was a fucking shit stomping, man. Penn State ran all over them. This was like back when I was in like 11th, 10th, no 10th grade. I was in 10th grade,
it
and
was basketball.
football. It was football.
Oh,
Football.
football.
I went to
I
Beaver
was about to
Stadium.
say you went to Beaver
If
State. I
they
said they
went to
play
Beaver
out.
Stadium to watch basketball, never. I'm sure the
What the
court was shitty. It's got grass on it, bro. The court's got grass. It's
fuck?
got
Right?
turf.
But Purdue, I give Purdue credit because the reason what they played through this tournament, they shouldn't have made it that far. So they did their job and they took Virginia where the took them to because Virginia's the number one seed. If I'm not mistaken, Purdue's a number 6 or a number 4 seed. I'm not sure. But I thought they would have got out in the second round, but they got some good players over there. That little guy, I forget his name, he made the most three pointers in tournament history. You
Yeah,
know, he was balling out of control, and he's little as hell, and he was just balling out of control. And then they got that big dude that's probably going to play in the NBA, Mans or something, Harns or something like that.
hands, horns,
He,
mans, and jams. God dams.
I'm bad with names, people. So once you gather that fact,
Oh man, that's a complete and utter understatement. That is what that is. That's an understatement. The biggest understatement of the century. But yeah,
yeah. But I like the dip because it's not the same suspects in the final four.
yeah,
You
it's
got
not
two
Duke,
teams.
no Duke, no UNC, no Villanova, and who would have been the other school that I usually see?
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. Yep, none of those four.
And it now it's you got two teams that first time there. Texas Tech. I love it. I love seeing teams get somewhere, pull off some good wins, and get a chance to put their school on the map for that specific um thing that they're doing. Virginia hasn't been there in a while, and then Auburn.
Auburn
Michigan State's
State.
kind of
They're
yeah,
kind of, but I mean, not same time, not really. So,
yeah.
I don't know who I'm pulling for, man. I think I'm going to be pulling for Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
I mean, it's their first time there, but if not, I would say probably I'd probably say the Spartans were a close second for me, just because they went and beat Duke. But then like I said, all the teams deserve to be there. I think because Virginia, they had a great game against Purdue, and
Mm-hmm.
that game, they worked their butts off. But I kind of want to see them, keep moving forward. So it's one of those deals where it's like I don't know who I want to win, to be honest. Like I don't.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna go with Auburn. I just like the way they play. They're small ball, and they're taking the heads off and the length of off of the height and the length of all these teams. They're taking that out of the phase by playing small ball and fast and making the jumpers, making the threes they need to think. Can they keep that up for two more games? I don't know, but I love to see it. I love the way they play.
I don't know if they keep it up, but I would like to see it. Um,
Hey, something interesting just came real quick though, bro. Freaking, I always find it funny when like magicians get caught up doing something. Like David Blaine was just like he's getting some sexual assaults against him, man. And he's creepy to me. I can see him. Allegedly he did this stuff, but
what
he's
did he
creepy.
do? Like,
It doesn't really. It just said he has some. It just came in. He has David Blaine's being investigated. He hasn't been arrested over alleged sexual assaults, and it doesn't really have. It's just not saying
alleged
too much.
sexual assaults. I can see him being like, "Watch me pull this out of you," and she's like, "Where's it gonna come out of?" It's like, "Not your nose. It's not coming out of your nose." And then it's like, and she's like, "Huh?" And later on that night, she went home, and she's like, "What the?" And then a bunch of like shit she pulled out of her butt or something, and then like the guy, the guy's like, "Magic."
What the fuck? David Blaine's pulling shit out of.
People's
We
butts.
gotta be
He's not. No, no,
careful.
no. He's not
We
pulling
gotta be
stuff out.
careful about what we're saying, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not saying he's pulling it out. I'm saying
Right.
she goes home because he just says you're gonna like you know what I mean. Like he's like the quarter behind the ear trick, but it's like more hardcore than that. Where like he said you'll find out, and then she's just like what the, and then she's like pulling, and there it is. You know.
I could just imagine his game to the ladies. Like he's doing shit. Like he sits down. You ever see his act? Like he sits down and does crazy, and it's the way he talks and the way he moves would freak me out. He wouldn't have to do a trick. I'd get far away from that dude just by the way he moves
Yeah, you
and
ever
he
see?
talks.
Was it that what's that? There's videos of those guys where like it's like David Blaine street magic, and then David
Yeah.
Blaine like comes up and it's like it's a joke. It's a joke thing. He's like, "What are you drinking?" And the guy, it's like these like two gay guys or something. They're like, "What the f?
Oh
What the
yeah, I
f,
see.
David Blaine?"
Yeah,
We're gonna have to share that to the page after this because
yeah. Share that. Share that when you get a chance.
this
I remember that. That was hilarious. And the dude's talking like him. That dude is.
and
I'm sorry.
he makes
David
his face.
Blaine
He's
is
like,
creepy. He's creepy. This doesn't surprise me that he's being alleged because he might not even have been doing something. And the chick was just like, I don't know what happened, but that dude's loopy as shit, And I feel like I've been violated.
I feel like I've been assaulted. Like he doesn't even have to. Literally, he's just around you. He's like, I feel like I'm assaulted. I've been
Yeah,
assaulted by David Blake.
yeah. I would feel uncomfortable if David Blaine walked in the room and started talking to
You
me.
know what? I
I'd
would
be like,
also.
it's time to go.
I would feel uncomfortable too if I just like there's this guy who like I know could just do some crazy shit, like make my drink like
Right.
disappear or something. Like you know what I mean? Because like imagine like I'm sitting here drinking like whatever like my protein shake, and then like in mid drink I taste it. And I'm like, is this piss? Did you just turn my drink
Hey,
into piss? And then like as soon as someone does that, man, get the fuck out of my house. Leave.
right. Or like I seen him like he was in a bar one night. People were all drunk and shit. He started eating a cup. Shit. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And when it first came out, don't get me wrong, I was watching those things. And then I was like, the more and more I was watching and the way he was moving, I was like, this dude's creeping me out. This is like, and there's not too many things on TV or in life that creep me out, but that creeps me out. I'm sorry, David Blaine. I hope you didn't do anything wrong. I hope nobody got a sexual assault. But you're creepy.
David, David, it's like, listen, man, like like I'm not saying that you're guilty. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not saying you're guilty. I'm not saying you're a bad guy. This is not even a judgment of your character. It's just that when I look at you, I feel like I don't want to be anywhere near you, David, and
Yeah.
that's a problem.
Wherever you're at, let me know. I'll avoid it.
I'll avoid you. Let me know where you're gonna be. I won't be there. I promise.
So speaking of weird stuff, I had a question. It was brought to me like I get on all kinds of weird conversations with people. You know that we have some weird ones. Um, and it was brought like I never answered them yet, so I was like, let me see what. because it does pose a question that we do on Bridging the Gap, like trying to understand older and younger,
Mm.
and like where people are at, like where do we think, their development is, how do they relate, how do we relate. So it was asked, like, if today they said money and technology is obsolete, you can only use what you have right now, not the technology, like maybe your tools, your housing. You won't lose nothing. There won't be no violence. Take violence out of it, but have to find a way to rebuild society up to the level it was. Who would who would contribute the most and get the most done? The older generation, like me and up, or down into your generation? Who do you think would contribute the most to get society up and running? So keep in mind, there will be no violence, robbing, or anything. Just straight hard work and working together, or coming up
Mm.
with new technology. Who do you think would contribute the most?
Well, a lot of my younger people are going to be mad at me. The people of my generation are not going to like what I'm about to say, but the older generation would. I mean, they're clearly going to be the better providers and hard workers. I mean, well, in terms of knowledge, we see. Here's what I think. I think what would come down to is the older generation has so much knowledge because they would know things about how they got, because there's such a jump in technology from when the 50-year-old people were alive, like the people that are 50-year olds now, to 60 to 70-year olds now, you know
Hmm.
from then when we were, because like we grew up with this stuff, but they watched as it gradually progressed before their eyes. Like my mom even would be a prime candidate, who saw the whole entire world just become way more technologically advanced in her time. And especially like when you go from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s, it's just astronomical all the things that happened. So those people would have so much knowledge about things from the past, right? Because again, we're starting over. All the technology is gone. But what it would come to is whatever the labor would need to get done, or the skills and everything else. The younger generation would be able to take that knowledge on the older people. It would force them to cooperate instead of kill each other, or get mad at each other and say, "Oh, you're wrong," and blah blah blah, and you don't listen to me, because it kind of would force the younger generation that I think sometimes likes to say, "Whatever, old man, you don't know what you're talking about." That they would force them to be like, "Okay, old man, tell me what you know," and the old man would tell him everything that he knew, and from there, those guys could go and build the society back up again. So I think the older generation has everything. They would be more impactful in rebuilding a society. Um, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that too, because like I just think that the technology nowadays is, it just, let's just face it, it makes people lazy where they don't have to do that, oh, that hard work that actually have to, because I'm from the era, there was no, when I was growing up around 10, 11, 12, you had to go do things, you had to go um outside, play sports. There wasn't too many video games like how it is now. There wasn't, you couldn't communicate, there was no phones. You had to go get on your bike, ride to your neighbors 20 blocks away, stuff like that. You had to work with your hands, and we built a lot of things that, like, basically 3D computers are doing. Like, how you, like, when you're a kid, you just fondle with stuff. We made all kind or fondle.
Fondle's not a
Pause.
good word.
I don't want to use
Pause.
that.
Rewind.
Yeah, it's not a good word. We got to pause that one right there. So we're gonna put the words we can't say list.
So the word fondle is now
Because
replaced with
it's getting crazy out here. But we used to, yeah, we'll have another replacement with them. But do we think though? I know for a while that the older generation, if they passed on the knowledge, I mean, obviously, if the knowledge is passed, then you take the violent part out of it and you just pass the knowledge. And to this point, what you got what you know to this point from, so you could probably find this stuff, like there's a computer, but we have to all the technologies out of the computer. We got to make it work again. How are we going to do this? So I think that it would probably be even. Older generation would say, I would say to my young dudes like you and I would say, guys, you guys went through all this stuff. Figure out how to get this working. We need to be able to communicate with people without having to travel 8 days to go across, a county
Hmm.
away. You know what I mean? So figure out, take the time to figure that. A couple of people that were just workers, blue collar workers, guys your age, I would take them with me and be like, we're gonna do the physical stuff. Keep trying to figure out and I think you guys would, the younger generation would come up with that stuff, and we would just be doing what doing the manual stuff, the hunting, the food, the gather, the surviving, and while you guys,
Coach, hold on. Hey, you're breaking up. You're breaking up really bad.
okay,
Yeah, like you're
breaking,
well, actually, do me a favor. Move further from your microphone and talk for me.
yeah.
Oh no, it's definitely a connection thing. Definitely a connection
It,
thing. You're suffering
yeah,
from a weak
I think
connection.
it's a weak connection up in the corner. So is it still breaking up bad?
Not that bad now, but you were breaking up pretty bad when you were talking. But let me. How about this? Let me talk, and then hopefully your connection will fix itself here. And then by the time I
Okay.
finish what I'm saying, then hopefully you'll be good to go, and you can come back at me. But no, I agree with what you're saying because I think the power and the strength of the younger generation in this sense is that they're not, their minds aren't boxed or molded yet. They're thinking of ways to build things based on what knowledge they have. They're trying to make things better, because I don't know, sometimes whenever I see people that are older, they're thinking like this. I want it just to go back to the way it used to be. And the people that are younger, the generation, they're always thinking, man, like I want things to be better for my life. And then as they get older, they're kind of like, man, I just wish things would go back to the way they used to be, the good old days. I don't know. It's kind of like a fact of like human society. But the beauty of that strength is that when you have my younger generation, they're going to be finding ways to innovate because say like we do have to build the computers and stuff back up again, right? They're going to say, with the information from that older generation, they're going to say, how can we make it better than when we originally created the stuff? How can we do
Hmm.
that? And they take that information and they take in those innovative ideas that they're willing to try and risk for, and they come up with something even better, in my opinion. Sometimes the worst reason why buildings fall over is because they have a shaky foundation. It may be because of all the things we have around us. There's this shaky foundation, like they because of like you said, technology goes down, right? So they see all the problems that happen with social media, how they take all
Hmm.
of our information, how they how they created all these networks, right? That took all of our information. That like my Google knows everything that I do. My Google knows who I talk to, who my friends are, who I text, and Google knows when I watch porn, when's the best time to watch it. My Google knows everything about me, and they say, well,
Yeah.
and they're saying, and maybe they're saying, yeah, we want to be able to create a system for the future that's better than that. Now, that's just this cool little thing I wanted to touch on, but to me, it's still down to that older generation because when it comes to actually physically building the things, right? Which I'm not saying people in my generation don't know how to do that because let me tell you, there's probably things that they know that the older generation doesn't have a clue of what it even is. But they were also that because at one point there was the guy who was the pioneer of the thing that the younger generation um, now builds off of. They piggybacked off that. As Albert Einstein once said, stood on the shoulders of giants to get to where they are now. So, to me, when I think about it, you're right. It almost is kind of, now this is, I'm changing my position, is that it almost would have to be an equal amount for both sides. I don't know because you need that older generation that's gonna have this information and this practical application and experience, but you're also gonna need that younger generation that's gonna want to be innovative, that's gonna try and push the envelope, and they're gonna be ready and rearing to go and change things for the better.
Yeah, I think it would balance out a matter of um, a couple years. Well, it would keep rising, is what I would say. Like you're definitely gonna have the older generation taking care of business right now,
Mm-hmm.
because it would be like you broke your leg, I'm healthy. Me and you are taking a travel across the country. You're going to get healthy and you're going to find things to do, but I would have to go out there and fucking get our food and build our shit. You're going to do what you can do, but each day you're going to get better and better and start doing more and more and more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would feel like if the younger generation would have to do to get with that. Each day they would come up with a new way for us to make our job easier.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying about the innovation. They would make the older generation's
It
job easier.
it it would be a given. It would be a give and take type situation that would even out. It blew my mind. It had me thinking about it for a minute because nobody really answered it. They just took it in. It was like, wow, that's a good question. And like you said, standing on the on giants with Albert Einstein's shoulders of giants, and things need to far like they say, destroy or rebuild it, like a football team. What do? They dump everything, they're trashed, and then they got to rebuild. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, well,
Right?
exactly, because and the thing is like you can just take apart the foundation because like sometimes you need a foundation every time you build. So whenever you get a foundation, you lay it down and you fuck it up again. Well, you got to tear that foundation down and you got to make sure you build it right. Check your levels, make sure it's leveled out again, and then start building because you can't start building the actual complex, the skyscraper, the house, whatever you're building without a solid foundation. You can check, you gotta triple check that foundation, make sure that's the right thing you're using to build with. So I think that older generation gives credence and help to the younger
Measure
generation to
twice,
build off of.
cut once.
Yes, yes, I use that at work
That
a lot.
philosophy.
I always say that at work. I'm like measure
Yeah.
what measure twice, cut once, man, because you
Measure
because
once, cut. Yeah.
because if you
Yeah. So those are. It's just interesting questions that I don't think people. That's why I like going into different groups with different people. That's why I like doing what we do on the show. Because I would go insane if I was around people that thought and just yes sirred and agreed with me all day. Like I would
that's
hate that, bro. I would probably jump out the window.
well, it would just get boring after a while because I don't know. Like I'm a person that is constantly working on myself. Like I'm trying to
Mm,
improve upon my life and the lives of others all the time. And I feel like if you're someone that's because I see them, I see these people everywhere, um, and it's the truth is that you everywhere you go there's just people that are comfortable, they're comfortable where they are, they don't, there's no change from day to day, from year to year, they're pretty much the same person. I have a lot of friends that are hooked up in drugs that they can't get out of. I have people that are just the same job and they don't have any they don't have any recollection of like where they really want to be. And in a couple of years, no vision. They have no vision. And I think that's the case. Is like when you start hanging around with people with no vision, it gets to a point
mm,
where it's like it's boring because it's like, man, it's the same shit day in and day out. There's no growth at all.
yeah.
So you know,
And people don't like the challenge. They don't. I think I broke up all the way. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm good. I'm back now. But it's the challenge. Like I find that all the time. Like I don't know anything better than to just explain it, but like the football way is that I hear so many times I can't, but they once they you push them and motivate them to see that they can get to that point, and I think that people just don't want the challenge, or they're too lazy, or they're just like you said comfortable, or they don't want no kind of change. They're just here. I couldn't do that. I like the challenge. I like when somebody says you can't do that because of this. If everybody listened to that, nothing would change. We wouldn't have technology, right?
no, exactly. You're right. We wouldn't have anything. We mean because we'd still be in caves because no one was like, you know what? No human being would have said, this fucking cave sucks. Is there a way we can make it warmer in here and keep the heat?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Or
because I think that's what you need. I think you need a contrast in life where people go, I hate this. I want it to be better. then
I
then
want it to
that's
be
how,
better.
and it
Yeah.
makes innovation. I think that's what it is. Human
And
will.
an accident happened. I think like you know how you get the concept of cavemen. They're just they're just brutes running around, pushing, talk, not even talking. That image of them.
Ugga ugga
I huh?
ugga ugga ooga ooga.
Uh, I think they got in a beef, and you know, a couple of them were throwing fists. One probably got knocked down, picked up a rock, is like, I'm gonna hit him with this. This is hard. Threw it. It hit off another rock and caused a fire. And they're like, oh, wow, now we got this.
This.
I think a lot of things happen by that, by accident, by
Right. Oh,
frustration.
oh
You
no, I
know?
agree. That was something I was going to bring up too. Is a lot of people in life they get to where they are just by stumbling through
Right.
life. But the problem is that's not. There's no guaranteed way to keep progressing when you do that. When you stumble through life, there's no guaranteed way to get to success. The most guaranteed way is to ensure your own success and work hard for it and work towards common goals. Because you can stumble through it and get success by just be like you work at a job for a long time and you like the job and some guy says, "Hey, you want a promotion? You've been here a while."
Right.
Well, sure. But at the same time, I know people that work at different businesses and what happens to them? They work at that business for so long, 14 years, they got all they get's pay raise and they're still in the same position they were hired on at 14
And
years
here's a
ago.
pen.
Yeah. What's that?
Here's a pen with your name on it.
Here's a pen. Here's a mug with your name on it, Chris. Have
Good
a good one.
job.
Great job.
And in saying that, like when you were attacking it from the other angle too, like people just stumble on, they're just going through life. I'm in saying it in the manner of like say that we're doing this right here, we're doing this and we're trying to do different things. We're gonna accidentally stumble on to something that works because we're
Oh,
consistent with trying. You
yes.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
We're going to be able to capitalize off of opportunities or innovations like that. Like we're going to stumble upon innovation or
we're gonna stumble across what's gonna help us, even if whatever, even if it's just a person that says, "Hey, I can get you where you guys need to know," is because we keep trying things and keep adjusting and working and saying, "Hey, we need to fix this to try to get this accomplished." But the most important thing that we do is that we just said we're gonna do it. We're consistent, and we just gonna keep on doing it until we find that way. You know what I mean? It really doesn't to me. And I think like when you're talking just innovation wise, I was just saying opportunity wise, but innovation, I think these people come across this stuff. Granted, not saying people ain't geniuses and they come up with stuff, but I do believe a lot of things come up by out of frustration and they made a mistake and then it works and then they're like, oh, okay, they weren't intending on doing something, but they found something else. And that's not a knock on them because they were trying to get something. They didn't get that, but they got this. You
cool
know what I
story.
mean? So,
Cool story about what you just said. I just read
mhm.
this today. This is a post, so this I don't remember the exact context or names, but basically, just to chalk it up, was a guy back in the day. He was a mortician, and then there was another guy who was a mortician. They had like two funeral homes in a town. Well,
Mhm.
this guy kept getting all the business. So what did he do? He knew the telephone operator, and he created a device where it would the switch every time they tried to call this one guy. The guy was getting all the business. It would call the other guy. The
Mm,
guy set it up so the phone would always come to him, and eventually that invention would lead to the automatic phone switch where it would take you right to where you need to go. It got rid of all phone operators. It destroyed a whole job base because
oh,
right.
so you mean the people like the old days when they would sit and pull it, stick it in there?
And then they would call, and then there would be someone on the other line saying, "Who are you trying to call?" And then they would have to patch it to that person. Got rid of that
That's
whole thing,
great.
so you got direct phone calls. Yeah, and this is what the caption was. It's like innovation out of pettiness, because this guy was so pissed off because the other guy was taking all of his business that he created a
Uh-huh.
device so that whenever they would try and call, no matter what, it went to his mortuary. Is that
Did
insane?
he get the patent for it?
I don't know if you got the patent, but I just know that's how that invention came about. and that to me is
Right.
funny because someone literally got an invented something just because they were so fed up with some guy getting all the business. You know, like he got it out of pettiness. It was. I just thought that was
Right.
interesting. So that is
Yeah,
interesting. You
it's
can.
definitely interesting. And he just canceled out all kind of people's job over the pettiness. And and somebody has that patent, whether he got it or not.
He
Somebody
else got
is
that.
rich as hell, spending generational wealth. So a lot of things happen with his pettiness and his invention. That's wow. And I think that Trent, that takes us. That's a good segue to going into what we're talking about. Like I know we're gonna do an in-depth dive on AA. We're
AI.
AI one day, artificial intelligence and how it's affecting works and jobs. We're gonna get into something. We're gonna dive in just in one of those, making maybe make like a little mini doc out of that. But I came across something interesting a couple of days ago that affects like the music business and AI. Like, where is that gonna come in the music business? This company called Endel, I think it's pronounced Endel or something like
And
that.
Dale. And
Endel,
and Dale.
is that how it's pronounced? I'm not
Well,
sure, to be honest.
you spelled it E-A-E-N. You spelled it
D,
Endale.
no, it's spelled. I did probably send it to you wrong. Endel.
Indel,
Pretty
yeah.
sure that's it.
Okay,
So it's some like German company over there that they, end up doing innovative stuff. They mess with music, and then they made an algorithm that took and it makes music off of an algorithm and working with instruments by itself. And it came up with, they use the music. It's not singing, it's just like music, like mute music. You can go to sleep, it'll play some things, and it taught itself, through algorithms how to do this. So Warner Music Group signed this AI to a distribution deal. Like it's an artist. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna, like an artist, like somebody like Drake or something. So it's being presented as a musical artist, and it's artificial intelligence. It's an algorithm, which I find very interesting because now all the music that we have from all the years and using the technology, some of the stuff that we were talking about, they have an algorithm. It's well known in the music business. When they want a hit, they go to this algorithm and they know the sounds and the beat patterns to use that'll make a number one hit or make a top 10 hit. It'll get in there because you can't, obviously, unless you're fixing the numbers game, you're not going to be able to. Another song might come out that just is better, but you'll get a hit, what they call a hit, which will make a lot of money and generate a lot of buzz for that artist. So they pull that book out. It's well known in the industry. So what these guys did is take that algorithm and put it into something. And I just wonder how far, what's next? What's next going to come? Are we going to eliminate like the human, like, artist, and it's
well,
gonna be all AI?
well, here's the tricky thing: is once you start putting it in where it's AI making the music, right? And like oh, this is a good song, but then it's like oh, it's made by AI. Is it really art anymore? Does it become art? Is it artistry? To me, it becomes this. It's a to me it feels like something. It's not, it's produced. It's the, how would I put it, it's contrived. There's a term for it. It's not genuine. It's not authentic.
Right.
It's not music for art's sake, made by people that are trying to convey emotion, because this AI can create, these sounds that are like, oh, this is what people want to hear. Which, to be honest with you, yeah, I mean, they have to have that information, because certain people's ears are attuned to certain sounds, and humans generally are attuned to a certain kind of sound base. There's that video that you can find out there, where it's like that four chord video, where literally like it shows like how many of your favorite hit songs throughout the years are literally just the same four chords that are in the other songs. The same four chords, just play with a different instrument, or a different whatever. That sound base to you is so
It's stuck.
humans like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, humans like it so much. So but to me, having AI that creates music, to me, defeats the whole purpose of music.
Yeah,
You
it's a
know,
vibe. You're killing the vibe.
yeah. Well, I mean, you could. Well, here's the thing: if an AI could create a song where you feel the vibe, it's like, oh, that's cool, but it's not real. Like it's fake to me. Like it's a fake vibe because it's not like true emotion being
Are
felt.
we gonna
Yeah.
go to the intimate place? Like I enjoy like going to watch people create music. I don't
Right.
care what, as long as it's not that crazy heavy metal hate shit. I enjoy the process of watching people how they come up with it, and the intimate going to little shows and just watching the artist do a little, putting their, working and doing it and then seeing the finished product. I enjoy that stuff. And are we gonna go watch a freaking AI?
We're gonna go watch a robot get on, and the robot doesn't say a word. It's just plugged into a speaker system, and it's just sitting there creating a song. It just creates a
Right.
song like from its computer's processors. Like that to me is just lame. I would never want to watch it.
It would be interesting to see, but it wouldn't be
it
interesting to latch on for a
yeah,
long time.
it'd be a gimmick.
Like,
That's what it'd be. It'd be a
yeah.
gimmick where you'd be like, "Oh, that's cool," like the first time you saw it. But then after that, the gimmick would wear off. You'd be like, "Okay, I've seen this. Like that's cool. A robot can make music, but it's not
But
art."
to and I think this is where it's at right now. I think they're doing this. I think they have algorithms making songs and music off of information that's given it to, and they're just grabbing people that are flunkies
Hmm.
and saying, "Do this."
Yeah, we already made the song basically. Like
It's
we're
already done.
yeah, just
You
perform it.
put 20 tattoos on your face, act weird, and sing this song.
Backwards in the song, where everybody's just a fucking front for the AI. The music industry is actually run by an artificial intelligence named Chuck. It's an AI named Chuck.
Chucky,
Chuck.
Chucky, I need a distribution
Shit.
deal
If
ASAP,
that Chucky,
Chucky.
Chucky, I need that DC, if you know what I mean. So
And I
hook a
think
brother
that's
up.
what we should work, bro. We should go in depth on that when we said we are gonna do it. We should go take like doing a nice in depth on the AI and how it's affecting. Because what's gonna happen though? Think about that. What's gonna happen? Like I think I posted something about the self checkout.
Hmm.
Like they're not training the people that got off these self checkouts to get to take on higher position or maybe maintain, you know, do maintenance on these things and learn a higher path to get a better job. They're just cutting the job out and they're training us to do it for free, the customer.
Hmm. Yeah, I just
They're
saw something like that. And I get what you're saying. The thing is, for me, it's making the world a little bit less personable because there's not someone in front of you. You say, "Hi, like I'm here making a wage honestly, and I'm trying to live." And they're like, "Oh, hi, I'm here to buy my groceries because I also work at a job where I'm trying to honestly live." And it's like, "Oh, we're two people." But now you have this fucking machine in the way where it's like, there's no conversation. It's just like, oh, I don't feel like talking to anybody's shit, so I'm just gonna scan this thing. And I think that's part of my generation too. Is a lot of my generation's a little antisocial, unless you got something that they lack. We're antisocial, the social generation that's antisocial. We grew up in the age of social media, and I think that's
Mhm.
what it is. Is like these people that start going, they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with the customer because they make errors. At least if I do it here from this machine, they'll do it right. Like they won't. I don't like talk to them and ask them for a refund or ask them why my eggs are like this or why my box is like this. I don't have to deal with the customer service. I can just scan a machine through and it'll take care of the whole situation. And I think that's what it is. I think it's
But
these
what's
advancements in
oh, sorry.
automation. These advancements in automation are a testament to I would say human I don't know, antisocial tendencies. And I think that's why again we're seeing, because we're a very social species of animal, that whenever we
Mhm.
start taking these things away, we start to see why we suffer from depression and stuff like that.
Yeah, you don't have to leave the house for real if you don't want to.
Literally, they will deliver food
Um,
to your house now. Like not just like Pizza Hut. I mean like groceries. Like groceries can be
yeah,
delivered to your house.
you can find a lane to make money. You don't have to leave your house. You could be a hermit if you want to. What I'm trying like getting at, I think that we'll touch on. We'll just leave it at that. End
Yeah, I
out
do.
on a little bit of that. A food for thought is like, what about that? At you think about when AI is doing something, they don't get tired. They don't have to sleep. They're not looking for health care. Their maintenance is the problem. There will be jobs made for maintenance, but I guarantee you, for every, like, how many people are going to get cut as the it goes up. So what are those people going to do? Is what I'm trying to get at. Like, where's the human part of work going in the future if everybody wants to use technology? And I love technology. I want to see it work, but not at the expense of a human livelihood, or what's going to happen to the human race, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy who he's an Asian. God, I want to say he's an astrophysicist, and he said something similar to this. He said, "Well, the jobs of the future will be in the arts industry and stuff like that." But then when you showed me this thing that you said about this Adele, and they're creating a algorithm that could create music, it almost makes you worried that, or even could people even have jobs in creating music in the future, because that can be done by AI. So very interesting food for thought for sure. But all right,
Definitely.
guys, bridging the gap. We're gonna wrap this up. Put a bow on it, Coach. You didn't have anything else, right?
Oh no, I don't think we ever touched on this since it's been out. We'll just run this for food for thought. That I don't know how it happened, but knowing what I know, no, I know how. But dude, Jussie Smollett got out of his charges. I just think it's hilarious, yo.
Mm,
But he wouldn't have got anything according to anything, and I think the whole situation is still weird. I do believe he lied, and I think that the black community is trading him for Michael Kors.
they're trading for Michael Kors. You think so?
Yeah,
Definitely. Okay.
yeah,
But it's a.
that's what's happening.
I'm not saying that it's a. But it's a.
Yeah, there's some more to it,
Yeah, for sure.
but that's all I got.
All right. Well, as always, guys, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Leave us a comment. What do you think about automation in the future? What do you think about Jussie Smollett? And as always, stay beautiful. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel, Mediated Media, and also like us on Facebook at Bridging the Gap 55. As always, stay beautiful. Take care of yourselves. Devin out. Coach B
R.I.P. Nip
out.
out.